there, it's Sandra here. I'm doing a project today which involves using some LEDs. What I'm using is some LEDs from a battery operated LED string. I want 5 lights from here. Now you may be wondering, can you do this? Does it work? And yes, it works really well. These string lights, the battery operated ones with the little, what they call rice lights, because they're about the size of a grain of rice, are easy to use for card making and so on, and they're cheap to buy. You can get a long string of them for a couple of euros or a couple of pounds, whatever, and you can use them in multiple projects because usually they come with a very long string which has got 60, 80, whatever. So I only want 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To cut it off, either use a pair of scissors, because this wire is pretty easy to cut, or some wire snippers as I have here. Now you may be thinking, what on earth have you got a nail file here for? And there's a very good reason for it, because these wires are coated. They're coated so that the lights don't short out normally. But when you want to use them yourself with a battery, what you need to do is to take the last inch or so off of the ends. The coating needs to come off. There are 2 ways that you can do it. You can use a nail file or emery board, and you can gradually do it like so. I've got one of these things which is called a nail drill, but it's simply a tool, rotary tool. It's a bit like a Dremel, but it's a more, shall I say, it's a more feminine version of a Dremel. Not as high powered, not as scary, and you can get lots of different tips and things for this. So you can use it for all sorts of things. You can use it to drill holes in softwoods, you can use it to sand the edges of things down, you can use it to remove the coating from these wires. You want to find out which is the positive that goes to the flat shiny side of the battery. And I'm using a CR2016 on here. And you want to find out which is the negative side, which is the waffle side of it. And I've already found that out by putting my battery between the 2 sides. And you can see that if I've got it making contact properly, that it lights up. I have some copper tape. This is what it looks like. It's self-adhesive, and you can get 2 sorts. You can get conductive copper tape, where the adhesive is also conductive, and you can get ones where the adhesive is not conductive, and you want adhesive to be conductive. You do not want to risk using the other sort because it probably won't work too well. I'm going to just take a little piece of tape, take the backing off. That's always the fiddly bit. Now I know this one is my positive wire because I bent the wire over. So I can take that and I can just wrap the adhesive tape around there, like so. I'll test that it's still working. It just gives you a little more working area to make contact with the battery. That's all that it's done for. So put that on there and you can see that it works. You don't want to put too much tape on here for a reason that I'll explain later when we get to it. Just a little bit. I've probably got about 1 centimetre of tape, 1.5 centimetres. And I'm going to fold this over a little bit, and again wrap it around the wire. Now that is my negative one. I know that is just because I did the positive one first. So let's just check again. Yeah, we have a good contact. Okay, so we have the main piece of the card, which is this one. There are score lines in the design here, 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 and here. I also have somewhere, here we go, another piece of card which has got a couple of score lines on it at either end. A piece of foam. It looks somewhat strange. It has 2 squares and 3 circles cut out of it. And I also have this piece of card, again, 2 squares, 3 circles. And you might be thinking, what on earth have you done there? Why have you got squares and circles? And there's a very good reason. It allows you to line up the correct parts. It's just something that makes it easier to do. I've done this card a few times, and lining up the circles was a bit of a pain in the neck. So that's why I've done it that way. So you want to get this, and it's going to go eventually on here. Now the reason why I haven't put markings on the back is because it depends on the design that you want to go on the front. If your design is a different shape, then you might want to move your lights and thus the holes to a different area of the circle. You might want them all one side, for example, if you're doing a moon shape something. You might want them to be up through the center or across the middle, whatever. So I haven't done it on the original piece, okay, the back piece, because that is to remind you, you need to know where you want your various holes to go. Now I happen to know that with this particular design, and I have stuck it onto a piece of acetate, the acetate pattern is in the file as well, because this is going to go like this, but at the front, and the lights are going to go behind it. So I know that those lights are in the right position for this particular shape, but if you have a different shape, you might want to move them, okay? So knowing that they're in the right place, I just want to take a pencil and mark my holes. You can just take the last of the lights and put it through until your first light gets to where it needs to go. And I put my first light here and then I work round. I've got the first blob down, so just put a little blob down like that. Finger over the top, press down, and then that's not going to be moving anywhere. It's going to keep your lights well and truly in place. I have all my lights stuck down now. Nothing's going to move there, so the next step is to put this piece over the top. So you can see if I put the battery between the two wires, the lights go on and they show through those holes, which is exactly where they need to be. So on the back here, I have a self-adhesive piece of foam. I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on the other side of it, so I can stick it down close to that hole there. I can then put my negative wire, so check which is your negative and which is your positive. And I can take that wire, put that right in the centre of there. I can put a little blob of glue on here and just press that down, so that's going to be stuck in place. And then I can put the battery directly. We have just some normal double-sided tape, and we want to put that more or less in the centre there. And we have a card piece, this one here, and we want to put a plastic piece over this one, so this gets protected with plastic so it can't contact on there, and this one here gets stuck on like so. A little bit of glue just on that bit there, so that sticks onto the back of the card. So whoever receives it simply lifts that up, removes that plastic, and then presses it down on the back. The next bit of this involves this strap here, which goes in there. It's the same width as this, and then that one tucks into that side there. Press it to hold it together for a moment, and then you put glue on this side here and place that one on. So put that on the bottom there. Off comes the backing, and this goes in the very front, more or less central for this particular design. Pinch it into place, and you can actually just flatten it like that. to get it to go where you want it to go. And there we have a really, really pretty card. I'll show you a photograph of another one which is actually lit up. I'll put that in, but it makes a spectacular card with all those lights behind it.